was embarking on his series of webinars, Success in Tough Times. And I thought, yeah, us as stakeholders of the ecosystem should do our part to really spread messages of hope and encouragement, and to show that there are green shoots around. There are green shoots. If you look around, if you have that positive mentality, somehow you'll figure it out. And what's been really promising is that we are starting to see a lot of green shoots in the real estate sector. In the last couple of weeks, we've seen that actually a hard asset class like real estate can be transacted online despite show flats not being open. So thank you, attendees, for joining us. And we really want to be, we want you this 1 hour to be very well spent. And please remember, you can launch your Q&A anytime. Ask us the difficult questions, upvote. We'll make use of the panelists' time well to really share what they see on the ground, a lot of that anecdotal sharing. So without further ado, I want to get the panelists to introduce themselves, talk quickly about their companies, and also share what's their favorite alcoholic drink or work from home hack. So let's begin with Bruce first.
Sure. Thanks, Martin. It's great to be here. So yeah, just a quick introduction. So I'm Bruce Wells. I'm the Managing Director for Matterport Asia Pacific. I was due to be in Singapore. It's where our office is for Asia Pacific, but I'm actually connecting in from Malaysia. We got caught on this side of the border in preparation for our move, and it looks like we'll be in Malaysia for a bit longer. Yeah, just very excited to be here and to share some of the things that are, we're seeing in terms of adoption of virtual tours, 3Ds, and how this is helping the real estate industry really globally respond to these very challenging times.
And a little bit about your company. You had that fancy slides and videos.
Sure. Yeah. Sorry, Martin. If you want, I'll just walk everybody through a little bit, and I'm just going to do a little show and tell. So let me, if I can I share? Can you give me the control, and I'll just share a couple quick things with everybody.
There you go.
All right. So just a couple quick slides, and then I'm actually going to show one of our a couple models, and I have a little quiz for everybody to make sure everybody's paying attention. So for those of you who don't know Matterport, we're a California-based company that specializes in the creation of digital twins for built properties. So using a capture device to scan and capture a physical property, and then render a 3D digital twin that's dimensionally accurate. And as you can see on the screen in front of you, is something that you can navigate and engage with in a very different way. One of the things we were talking about in preparation for this is kind of what are we seeing in terms of changes in the marketplace and where kind of Matterport fits into this. And I thought I'd just quickly share this kind of evolution that we've seen. If you look at the kind of property marketing, and it's gone, from photos, we see some floor plans being introduced, and you can see this continuum. And now, clearly we're moving into where more now out of necessity than ever before, the need to engage with property in a truly immersive 3D kind of environment. But the other thing I was thinking about is, this is, I'm going to be happy to share more about this, is that if you take kind of a traditional technology adoption curve, you've got your innovators, your early adopters in this, in this kind of normalized bell curve of adoption. But what's happened now, due to circumstances that everybody is all too painfully familiar with, is that we're seeing this massive shift of people needing to adopt technology maybe faster than they would have normally. And as a result of that, I'm going to share some trends and things that we're seeing. But it certainly is, one of the exciting things is that there's something there to address this need, and we're very pleased to be able to help with that. One of the stats, and I've got a few stats I'll share with you, but in looking at some recent research we did, Not surprising, there is a significant increase in the state agents now looking to use virtual tours and technology in their listings. And this trend is going to certainly go up. I don't think this is going to be slowing down anytime soon. But what I thought I'd very quickly do, and I'm going to, get this a bit more visual for everybody, is I wanted to share something. I wanted to share basically two quick models. They're actually of the exact same property. And I don't know if people noticed or if you heard, but in early May, we launched Matterport for iPhone. And so I'm going to actually show you two models, one that was captured with the Pro 2 and one that was captured with the iPhone. And maybe we'll do a quick poll to see, which ones you think. So if I say this is, we'll call this model A. So here we have, the 3D dollhouse that's been captured. And let me just quickly, I'll just go into, actually, I'll tell you what, let me go into the living room. Let me just jump to the living room and we'll start down here. So in the living room, again, you can scroll around. We can see some space here. I can go navigate. Let's go into the dining room, kind of look around from the dining room side, and let's end up in the kitchen just very quickly. So again, you can see the model here, and I'll go into the kitchen and we'll kind of end there. So that's model number one. Model number two, again, we have the dollhouse here that we can see. And if I do the same kind of tour, let me go into the living room and kind of same kind of thing. Let me navigate around here. And hopefully I'm not going too fast. I know we're doing this over Zoom. So in the living room, Martin, let me know if it's, I assume it's coming through clear.
Yes, it is. It is.
All right, now into the dining room area here. And as I mentioned, let's go back into the kitchen. And here we are in the kitchen, and we'll navigate around and stop there. So this is number two, and this was number one. So if we can, just out of curiosity, so one was shot with an iPhone 11 and the other was shot with the Pro 2. I don't actually see, let's see if I can see. If you want to just type in one or two, I guess the question is, which one do you think was with the iPhone?
Wow, they both look the same though.
They look the same, I have to say.
So yeah, I mean, I have to say, so we launched this just 20 days ago, and it's in beta right now. But the response has been tremendous. Now, I will state that that was filmed with an iPhone 11 Pro Max and using a tripod, which certainly makes the process a lot more exciting, and the output is tremendous. I mean, if you, so the answer is, and by the way, I'll put in the chat session, I'll put in the link so you can go look at them yourself.
Sure.
Redfin did an article and had both of these models listed and challenged the audience to determine which was which.
Okay.
One, by the way, was the Pro 2, and number two was the iPhone.
Wow. Okay, we'll get back to you on that, Bruce. So the next panelist, so we've got Matterport and Property Guru, whom I'm gonna bunch together as the tech solutions provider. Jason, over to you.
Hi everyone, Jason Gregory here. I'm the Managing Director of Fastkey, a Property Guru business. I've been with Property Guru and in Singapore for 4 years and look after the region. Partner with everyone on this panel. So we're a premium partner of Matterport and have been a supporter for a very long time. And of course, with our agency and developer partners, our role is to sort of bring the ecosystem together and help connect, people to their dream homes. So pleasure to be here today, talking to you about tech and anything we want to. And yeah, just happy to be here to have a chat. Oh, my favorite drink is anything wet.
Anything wet. Point noted.
Red wine mostly, I would say.
Okay, same here. Over to you, Eugene. So Eugene is the Sales and Marketing Director of Oxley Holdings. And then we've got Richard as well, who's a Division Director in ERA. So these two esteemed panelists would fall in the group where we call them the B2B or the B2C consumer users of the tech solutions that Matterport and Property Guru is providing. Over to you, Eugene, for your introduction.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone is keeping safe during this circuit breaker. We are on week 8. My name is Eugene. I'm from Oxley. I'm the Director of Marketing and Sales. I've been with the firm for coming to 5 years. So predominantly, I oversee the local project sales as well as the regional project marketing, which we currently oversee is in 12 geographical locations, such as, of course, Singapore. We have London, Malaysia, Ireland, Cyprus, in Australia as well. And of course, we are a big user of Matterport. Before the circuit breaker, we actually foolproof our show flat by having all our sales gallery being powered by Matterport. That has done us exceptionally well as well. We are also a big supporter of Property Guru. So we have been using their platform to sell our new home sales, whether it's Singapore project or whether it's our overseas project. And Richard is one of our project IC for one of our Singapore project as well. So in one way or another, we are actually related to each other.
Yes. So Rich and Eugene, I know you love your wines, your red wines especially. Richard, over to you.
Red wine, yeah.
Richard, over to you. I like the name of your division, Genesis. Lovely name, wonderful name.
Wonderful name. Okay, first of all, let me put a caveat that we are not related in any way in the companies. Okay, first of all, Martin, thank you for organizing this. And I'm Richard, one of the founders for Genesis Group within ERA. Yeah, Bruce mentioned about the beta version for the iPhone with Matterport. I'm one of the registered users, and I'm trying it out all the time, trying out new things so that my guys within the group can get to benefit from whatever I tried and I errored on. So they have a shorter learning curve, and from there feed them with the best technology out there for their property sales. Likewise, Property Guru is the most popular platform when it comes to resale market or even the primary market. So I'm here to answer your questions.
Okay, thank you, Richard. So as dear attendees, you can see we really curated this panel group. Everyone has some form of relationship and strong chemistry with each other, so that we can really present to you what's happening on the ground, both from the provider of solution side as well as the end user. And it's really like I mentioned, green shoots, really encouraging to see. So let's launch into the panelist session, where I have the opportunity to grill my esteemed panelists. So at the start of the CB period, a lot of people in the real estate sector were really prepared to have a dry 2 months of no activity. But on the contrary, if it was last week or last week, there were reports that actually there were 300 over properties still being sold, transacted during this period, and quite a good number of new developments being sold as well. So maybe to you, Richard, first, what are you seeing on the ground that has allowed this to happen?
Number one, we are supported by our agencies and of course with the help of developers in terms of tools that we are given. Matterport agents are using Matterports to conduct their sales, virtual tours, and that can actually better represent the actual show flat that right now all of us we can't go and view the actual units. Technology has definitely replaced the face-to-face interaction, and everyone is being forced to use technology, to use iPad Pro, your pencil, your laptop, like what we are doing right now, and presentation is done in the virtual settings.
Right. To this question to Eugene, right? I remember in our numerous conversations, you mentioned that your CEO was prepared to have 2 months of no sales, and he was quite pleasantly surprised that actually some of the new launches are moving. Okay, can you tell us what was it that made you, bulletproof your show flats with a Matterport digital dollhouse, and what were some of the pivots you've had to make during this period?
Actually, we are really very blessed. I remember 3 months before the circuit breaker happened, someone actually approached us from Metaport and say that, hey, look, you know, with this COVID-19 situation, some of the cities, some of the country has already entering into lockdown. So we do not know whether Singapore will eventually go through that phase of lockdown. Of course, we didn't know that our lockdown, we have a different term called circuit breaker. So we took that leap of faith. We say, well, if let us be prepared for it. So I remember 3 weeks prior to that, we actually get the vendor to actually use Metaport software to go to all our sales gallery. We got 5 sales gallery, and some of our sales gallery are actually big, are huge. We have got 5 show flat. We got a model that's extremely huge. So we make the decision. We spend that. We use some of our marketing funds to actually spend it on Metaport, and we get the filming done. And when the circuit breaker actually happened, it came as a, you know, it came as a surprise for us. But yet at the same time, we know that we are secured. At least our salesperson like Richard, they are able to be effective, being at home, able when there's a buyer who said, hey, I would like to view your show flat. So what do they do next? You know, there's no need for them to say that, hey, let's wait for the circuit breaker ends, then we will go to the show flat. They can actually interact with the client via Zoom and say that, hey, look, we don't have a show flat. I can't bring you there now, but I can show you the virtual tour of our show flat. And if you can see the definition of Metaport is efficient, it's very effective. It looks as good as real. The resolution is good. After which, the salesperson, you know, they can always access through Fastkey and say that, look, you know, we do have that availability, and they do the check. So sales can be transacted. Potentially it can be transacted over Zoom. Of course, the first 2 weeks of the circuit breaker, everyone is just trying to get a hang of it. First of all, they try to set up their Zoom. Secondly, they are more receptive to download application, which they were very resistant. You know, I know of people who absolutely hate technology and refuse to learn, whether they are lazy or they refuse to adapt to new system. But this circuit breaker, they have no choice. You know, it kind of is a big reset button. They have to do it. If not, they will be replaced. So we see that first 2 weeks, to be honest, the first 2 weeks, the sales number were not that great, but we see there's a shift. If you look at the report, week 5, week 6, and week 7, you see a big spike in terms of sales being done. I spoke about this before. Psychological mindset of the buyer is also important. They all start at home. There's a yearning of meeting people. So imagine today you are stuck at home for a good 5-6 weeks. Today, if your financial advisor call you, if your banker call you, real estate salesperson call you, I think most of us will give them the airtime to actually hear them out in terms of whether to restructure their portfolio, restructure their bank financing. So I think this circuit breaker has changed the way everybody lives.
So now over to our 2 tech solutions provider panelists, maybe to Bruce first, and I know Metaport works very closely with Property Guru Fastkey on this. So Bruce, what were some of the things you saw on the ground during this whole circuit breaker lockdown period that surprised you?
So, well, quite a few. Probably the biggest surprise I would have to say is I think how quickly people were migrating to the solution. I mean, we've had a strong, if you look at that bell curve again, where, there's an early adopter phase, and then, and so on, and then an early majority. And we just saw all that shifting forward. And so there were a lot of folks who, maybe were apprehensive or scared of technology, but out of necessity were kind of forced into this. And I'm sure we all have family members. My mom, whose birthday is tomorrow, turned 85, and she'd never shopped online, but now she does all her shopping online.
With your credit card, I hope.
Yeah. But then what I noticed in this is that, so folks who may have traditionally been late migrators were forced into this. And I think what's happened is, that ease of adoption came faster than I thought. I mean, look, sometimes people are hesitant for change or resistant to change. And these circumstances are forcing people into it. But the pleasant surprise has been that adoption has been positive, in the sense that people now recognize that, okay, this isn't actually that difficult. Oh, okay, maybe my role is changing, and the way in which I'm going to engage is going to change. So yeah, I think that was my pleasant surprise out of all of this.
Right. And Jason, can you share some of the observations you have seen?
Yeah, I think mine are kind of always forward-looking observations in that, all of this change that we're all experiencing is sort of setting the benchmark for the new normal. And I think, circuit breaker is not going to miraculously be over, particularly on June 2, as we've learned. But I mean, this is changing the way that people behave, the way they interact. And what we're experiencing is that the consumer expectation is changing. What they require from a developer or from an agent or from Property Guru is changing and evolving. And I think we're all trying to innovate to stay ahead of the curve and drive that. And I think it's very, very important. We've got 23 million monthly property seekers coming to our Property Guru portals in Singapore, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam, and we can see how demand comes and goes. Looking at Vietnam, who have, as a country, are claiming to be COVID-free for the last 2.5 weeks. Once they started opening up, the traffic back to our portals, was almost a V-shaped recovery. So demand is going to come back. What we're hearing from our partners is, well, we're not just preparing now for the current situation, we're prepared for the future situation. So travel is still uncertain. I mean, Singapore, we're very fortunate, the furthest sales gallery is 30 kilometers away from anyone, but whereas in other markets, traveling that distance, is almost unthinkable before COVID, let alone after. And then cross-border, of course, is going to become very challenging. Being able to go to a country is one thing, being able to come back is another. So, these digital experiences, are being heavily invested. And I think the other learning and the realization for everyone is that technology like PowerPoint, it's an aid. It's not a be all and end all, and it's how you use it. And what we're seeing is tremendous innovation from developers, from agents around the region, just equipping themselves with all sorts of technologies. I mean, Matterport is one, Property Guru is one, of course, very good ones, but there's all sorts of things we're seeing, which is great because it puts pressure on all providers, all vendors, all technologies to innovate. So I think for us, it's going to keep pushing us forward to innovate further, across all portions of here. I think we need to think more carefully about as businesses, as our channel partnerships, how do we build by partner to innovate and get ahead? Maybe I'll talk later about some of the things we've done. But from Bruce's perspective, Matterport, our demand is up significantly. On the 2nd of June, we have a bunch scheduled because we also go and shoot them for our customers. As soon as the circuit breaker is ended, because we're accredited to do it, we'll go and start that. So yeah, tremendous change in consumer behavior, expectation, and we're seeing all of our customers really embrace that and drive forward.
So Jason, on your point about technology being a good aid, right? So my next question would be, it's not a case of just use technology and you can sell the property. What are some of the key success factors you're seeing that your customers, they're embracing technology, but what are some of the other factors as well? It could be communication with their customers, hand-holding, and just that little bit of extra touch there to make sure that we close the deal.
Yeah, I'll give a few brief comments, and I think Eugene and Richard are better placed, but I think, this is a high and often the most expensive purchase you're ever going to make as an individual. So it's all about trust. It's all about transparency. Is this agent a quality agent? Is this developer a quality developer? Am I paying the right price? What's the area like? Does all of that stuff that you can find out there, but there's so much noise. So often what they need is a trusted partner. So, they trust a Matterport to be an accurate representation of the project. They trust Property Guru to have all of the properties available. They trust the agent to have all of the context and help them negotiate through that purchasing and discovery and purchasing thing. And technology helps. The analogy I'd give is, if you are pitching for something, you wouldn't just send a PowerPoint and ask for an answer in email, right? You are going to use it as an aid. You're going to present. You're going to do that. So for us, Property Guru really continues to believe and will continue that our role is to aggregate supply and demand. So we work with developers, agents, partners, consumers, and bring them together on the platform to connect. We believe agents will continue to play a very, very strong role in real estate for the foreseeable future. In all of our markets, they're very, very heavily reliant on. I think there's many agents that are going to need to lift their game. And I think this type of situation helps them lift their game because they have to, and it drives it forward. That would be my view.
Richard, you are one of the top performers in ERA. Share with us some of the key success factors, apart from just using great tools like Matterport and Property Guru.
Yeah, I totally agree with Jason's sharing, because over and above the tools that were given to us, and the property information, the development information, over and above, we need to provide our clients with the macro view on the trending facts and figures. Let them be comfortable that the purchase that they're going, the property that they're going to purchase online or through the virtual world, the facts and figures will set them in the comfort zone, and the facts and figures will actually breach the pipe as to current COVID situation. So what stands out from to be an outstanding agent will be the information, the toolkit that you have on hand to present to your clients readily whenever you're called upon to present. Most of the time, we have agents who are not ready. Make an appointment 5 o'clock. Oh, 5 o'clock I'll be there, and we just share the floor plans, we just share the developments, and that's it. So with that, you are not able to draw in your clients. You're not able to let your clients understand what is the way ahead, especially at current pandemic times. What is the way ahead? What is the past trending versus now and moving forward? So how am I going to put my investment into you, to trust you that you can help me make sure that my property is going to be a great savings in time to come? Yeah. So should I wait, or should I wait further, or should I commit now? So that's a common question that a lot of clients are asking as well. So if you're prepared with the past statistics and now and the future, you let your clients to deliberate further on their purchase.
Right. So also to Jason's point about upping one's game.
Exactly.
Eugene, any key success factors to share that you have seen on the ground?
Yeah, I totally agree with what Richard said. Gone are the days when salesperson will just show the show flat, the four walls of the sales gallery to buyer, and expecting buyer to make decision just because there's a very fanciful ID, the model is very nice, a very nice brochure. I think buyers today are more savvy now. They want more information. They want statistic. So with all the tools that's been given by the different prop tech, historical price trend line, I think those are important. Those data are important. Buyers, investors in today's market, they are more hungry for knowledge before making sound investment decision. So what I realized is that successful agents, successful salesperson today, other than embracing technology, keeping themselves abreast of social media marketing, very importantly, getting deep-rooted knowledge of real estate, historical price trend, looking at data, analyze. Today's salesperson cannot just be the one that just do an open house, just show the unit, how fanciful the marble is. I believe through this circuit breaker, one is on Netflix. There's this very popular show called Selling Sunset. It show beautiful people selling very big landed property. Well, those are good look sales, but more importantly, the knowledge of real estate, the Singapore market, how all these price trend, all these are even more important, because today, in order to be relevant in the market, you need to be a walking encyclopedia actually for salesperson. You need to know what is the best interest rate, what is the latest SIBOR rate, know about Fed. You need to know everything. So then that's when you can stand out among the 30,000 salesperson in Singapore.
Yeah. Just want to add, I think obviously when you start talking about international sales, you now have an extended sales team of your local appointed agents, whoever they're co-broking with locally, but also overseas as well. To my point, I think we have over 45,000 agents who use Property Guru a month to manage their listings. So that part of our role is to bring them together, not just in their domestic markets, but internationally. And everything that Eugene just said and Richard said, amplify that times 10. I mean, looking at buying a property in another market, what are the rules, the regulations, the banking, the taxation, and at the risk of not going beyond your role to give tax advice, I mean, people do look to their agent to help with the research and gathering of all of this to make an informed decision. So it becomes very, very critical. So the skills of agents have already progressed massively in the last 5 years, and they'll continue to progress, and the expectation again will continue to grow. Sorry, Bruce, over to you.
Yeah, I was just going to add.
Over to you.
Just going to add on top of, I fully agree with what everybody has been saying. And I was just recently talking to an agent who had successfully actually closed a deal without the buyer in Singapore, without the buyer ever seeing the property. And we were chatting about it. And, you know, okay, yes, great that the technology is there to do this, but, you know, what they were saying is they were much more efficient and able to support the customer. You know, how many times he said, well, you used to have to organize to go out and do a viewing. And then the partner wasn't able at the same time, so you'd organize another viewing. Then they'd say, oh, I forgot to, you know, I need the measurement of the living room for my drapes. I need to go back out and I need to do a measurement for the living room. Now you just go to the model and do that. So the thing wasn't just about the technology. It was more the fact that you can spend your time using, you know, your experience, your knowledge, your understanding of the market, and have a more elevated conversation with buyers versus the stuff that you probably don't enjoy doing, which is the labor intensive admin things that are actually not adding a lot of value. So just kind of weighing into what Eugene and Richard said, that I fully agree. I mean, the technology is an enabler, but it's not the end all.
Right. So you know, there's this saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, and humans tend to like to go back to their old habits, right? Do you see the use of technology being reduced once everything returns to normal? Bruce.
It kind of a loaded question if you ask me, right? And so no, I actually I don't, and I think there's a couple reasons on top of that. So one it's because we're going to get past this kind of inflection point where, you know, there's going to be enough people using this, enough people recognizing the value and the advantages it provides. You know, when we start to be able to physically go out to visit properties, I mean, my view, and I share, you know, my colleagues share this, is that the first time you visit a property physically should be the second or third time or fourth time that you're visiting that property. It's just going to accelerate the way in which buyers, consumers can engage and make the whole process a lot smoother. So I think there'll be a change in the way in which we use this, but are we going to go back? No way.
Jason?
Nothing to add to that. I mean, the new normal will continue and continue to evolve. That's for sure.
Right. So, you know, to Eugene and Richard, right? Like, I've seen how real estate sales has evolved. You know, it used to be classifieds and people circling stuff, and then later on there was customized SMS, and then to websites, and then there was Facebook pages, Instagram, and then now to people shooting their own, like, oh, welcome to this apartment, and they're doing that full walkthrough, right? Again, do you see any further changes post COVID, the new normal?
Okay, so number one question would be, I agree with Jason, I agree with Bruce. Moving ahead, this will be a new norm. And to be honest, I'm kind of enjoying the moment right now that we're having. You know, I get the comfort of my house, and my clients at his place at his comfort time. We can both sit down and do a proper presentation. You know, but what's way ahead? Wow, like you said, Martin, you know, Facebook video. You know, recently I just got my own the Underdog series video out on my Facebook. You know,
yeah.
Moving ahead I have wanted to share this. You know, property agents, gone are the days where we are labeled as a door opener. You know, back in those days, we are just called the agent's easy job, just open the door, close the door. But nowadays, we are very different. Yeah. We do a lot of things on social media. That's the main reason why we are doing, because we need exposure.
Right.
We need the exposure. Last time we have Straits Times, we have classified ads, and we put it over there, put it on the papers, and people look into it and call them. But right now, we need to bring the development to the clients. That's the way ahead.
Right. So also, I guess, you know, depending on how user-friendly the technology is, you know, it's just like life has changed for everyone after Apple launched their first iPhone. I remember in those days, if you bought a Nokia or Sony Ericsson, you still have to fiddle with it and read the manual and all that. But with the iPhone, it was so intuitive, right? And there's really no reason to go back.
Mm.
Back in those days, BlackBerry, everyone was saying if you have a BlackBerry, means you're going to slave to the phone.
Yeah. So just wanted to quickly share with you panelists as well as attendees. Thank you for doing the poll. So we've got a large, as it's not totally unexpected. We've got friends from the real estate sales, about 28%, and then we've got about 10% of them are from the property developer companies, and then the remaining are investors as well as others. And about 80% are from Singapore, couple of them from Australia and Europe. And the question, so I asked, are you planning to use technology such as Matterport, Property Guru, Zoom, or other social media platforms? It's a resounding 80% said yes. And at this time, you know, thank you attendees for putting the questions up. So I just wanted to also get the some of the Q&A answered that is relevant now before we move further to further panelist questions, since we are talking about technology. So this one is for Matterport from Felipe. Hi, Felipe. It's nice to have you here. He's asking, is it possible to get a feel of the surroundings of the property as well?
Yeah, I assume when you say that, you're looking at the kind of outdoor view, the neighborhood, and some of the adjacent spaces. So the question, or the answer is yes. Not to get into the great detail, but basically with Matterport, you're probably familiar, and I've been showing you the indoor digital twin, but you can accompany that with 360 photos that can be taken from the front of the house, the neighborhood, really anywhere. Yeah, so there's lots of ways to augment the digital twin with some additional outside and neighborhood shots.
Right, and the next one was actually directed to Eugene and Richard. So we may have talked about this early on, but how receptive are buyers to Matterport/virtual galleries conversion rates, and how does this compare to conversion rates at physical show flats?
Okay,
this is a very data-driven world.
Okay, so most of the, I would say the transactions so far that's stated in the report, most of them are using the virtual Matterport, the virtual presentation to bring the clients to understand the product itself, the development itself. If you ask me, based on the statistics itself, I would say close to a 60% to 70% conversion rate is really present by using the virtual wall. That's stating that there are already clients who have visited the show flats prior to the circuit breaker period. Yeah, and that makes it even easier for them to visualize on the Matterport settings on the virtual wall.
Yeah, maybe I just add on. I think, yeah, I have spoke to a lot of salesperson who has been marketing our project. Yesterday, there was one editor who has actually called me for comment. And also say that, hey, we did 40 over units. How many are actually done through virtually? How many done are true? They have seen the show flat. As I mentioned earlier, the first 2 weeks of sales that we have done, to be honest, they have seen the show flat prior, but from week 5, week 6, 80% of them, they have never been to the physical show flat before. So back to the question that Edward has asked, is virtual tour going to take over, going to have a higher conversion when they view the physical show flat? All I can say is that most of the buyers will definitely want to see the physical show flat before they make any sound decision. But what we are seeing now is, if today we meet with a very savvy investor, a very seasoned investor know that the show flat ID is not going to be there when the project eventually TOP. For a very seasoned investor, they want to know the floor plan. They want to know the dimension of the room. Is the living room going to be a length of 2.9 meter or 3.2 meter? The master room, is it going to be 2.8 meter or is it going to be a tight 2.4 meter? So these are information that seasoned investor, they want to know. With that, they look at the location, they look at the site plan, whether they want to have a pool view facing or facing the greenery view or facing probably in front of a public housing, they will make their decision accordingly based on historical price trend. So, but to 80%, 70-80% of the buyer, especially upgrader, public housing upgrader that's going to buy their first private condominium, I think the mindset of Singaporean, they still want to look, feel, and touch the show flat before making decision, because this is potentially the biggest ticket item they have ever purchased in their whole entire life. So, but what I'm trying to say is that this circuit breaker technology helps them to bridge the gap between salesperson and buyer, just to get the first step forward, getting to know the buyer, facing them, sharing with them data. Once everything goes back to normal, the decision is even much easier. So my personal view is that once we can open up our show flat all over again, we should see a spike in sales, because there are still a lot of potential buyer who has been through the virtual tour but have not made any decision yet. They will still tell the salesperson, look, now because of circuit breaker, there's no rush. You know, let us wait for everything is normalized. I want to go and see the show flat, and I believe we will see a spike in sales there.
I think you're spot on. I think from our perspective, we think what it'll make people do is narrow their consideration set. So, you know, if I've experienced 5 projects, you know, 3 with a nice immersive virtual tour and 2 with basic photos and whatever, I'm more likely, if I need to go to a sales gallery, to go to the ones that I'm comfortable with. And I think, you know, the point around biggest purchase, absolutely, but it's also a very emotional purchase. You know, for many people, it's where they're going to live, where they're going to raise their family, it's their home. So I think having that emotional connection is obviously very important, which is where the Matterports come in, because, you know, it's furnished, it's beautiful. I can picture it and see myself in it. You know, the key sort of sales objective has always been get the buyer to the sales gallery. And in a world where you can't, let's make sure that they're going to come to my sales gallery, you know, after this lifts. And again, from the international perspective, it may not be feasible that they're going to come to your sales gallery for over a year. I mean, who knows? Yeah. So I think having that, narrowing that consideration set, having a good consultative approach and of discovery, you know, can help people be closer to that purchase decision.
So it's just really about having a nimble strategy. So for Bruce and Jason, what are some of the other tweaks that you know, if you had a wish list that you think you could add to your respective solutions or software that can even bring bridge that physical gap even more?
Yeah. I mean, the point I was trying to make earlier about channels, I think I'm in a tech and an investor discussion. I think channels and paths to market are super important. And the other magic one is timing, right? There's plenty of products and things that have made complete sense, but failed due to timing. And I think, you know, with the COVID situation, I mean, the timing is now for these things, and channel partners or channel distribution is very important. So I think, you know, to Matterport, finally investing in an, you know, integrating into a device that someone has on them already is a stellar move, and is going to do miracles for that company and any 360 capture company, because, you know, whilst there is a place for the ultra high dev cameras, we own them at Property Guru, we bought them off Matterport, and we film ultra high def. You know, there is a room for, as technology evolves, being ready to pounce. So the iPhone 11, it's in people's pockets, let's go and take it. This then opens it up to resale, opens it up to everything. So it gives you more scale. Otherwise, scale is a challenge. Right now, with an inability to actually shoot in many locations at Matterport, scale is a challenge. And we've just launched and brought to market very quickly a deeply integrated partnership to actually do think of it as a lower res Matterport version, completely digitally. No photographs, nothing to shoot, you know, built from all of the plans and the CAD diagrams, the aerial shots, you know, the Google Maps, and to build an experience. Think of it as a Matterport lower res before the sales gallery is even constructed. So we can now produce these experiences that consumers and agents and developers can take people through before there's a sales gallery to visit, before there's a scale model, before there's a show unit with particular furniture. We can start showcasing all of that. And I can show you guys a little bit if you like. In fact, we just got published in the Straits Times and the Business Times today.
Share.
Okay, I'll share my screen. Take you through a very quick view.
Quick
not
one.
By any means, guys, but I think it's you know, it's something that we're quite proud of. And look, we partnered on this. We found a fantastic technology company that specializes in 3D rendering and these immersive experiences in low bandwidth situations. In Singapore, we're very fortunate, apart from when StarHub went crazy the other week. But, you know, in many of our markets, you know, bandwidth is very low. You know, it's hard to consume this stuff. So we've deeply integrated this into FastKey. And what FastKey is, it's a software as a service, lead management system, sales kit, booking engine, document generation. You know, it would not be untypical for an agent to have FastKey open on their screen doing a Zoom webinar just like this with the customer, or in the sales gallery on a kiosk, or on an iPad in a cafe. It sort of works across all of those. And what we're looking at here is the new product, which we call Storyteller. And this is a fully digital rendered 360 view of a cityscape. So this is a Kuala Lumpur night view, again, completely digitally rendered. And, you know, we can call out all of the local landmarks, amenities, transport. We can input videos, you know, all of this sort of discovery stuff. Because we know that people look for, you know, a country, then a region, then a project, then the facilities, then a unit. So this takes them through that journey. So an agent, you know, representing a developer, you know, can present this all the way through. You know, we can take them through to interiors. Now, if this was a completed project with all of the units, you know, we would use a Matterport and show a Matterport. But just like the Matterport Pepsi Challenge, you know, this is put together, you know, completely digitally from a library of our content. Or if they want to collaborate, maybe this is a particular lamp that they've done with a developer, we can digitize that and put it in. And we can also show different views, different sort of setups of these units and projects. And then where the beauty of the sort of integration comes is, you know, I can see Tower 1, Tower 2 that's sort of not launching until 2023. Well, what's available in Tower 1? So I can look at this, and this is where it's integrated into the FastKey booking engine. You know, we can see overlaid onto this model all of the different units, their types, whether they're available or not. And then we can go in, and this is where we sort of turn those floor plans from 2D floor plans into isometric floor plans. And then we can go into the walkthrough.
Right.
So when I'm in the walkthrough, you know, one of the beauties of this is think of it as a sales gallery, but we can do every different unit type, and we can also do different styles. So we can introduce different styles that may suit that buyer. So we talk about that emotional connection. You know, we can do this, and we can even show it unfurnished, which is usually quite boring. So if you imagine an unfurnished versus, you know, something that's, you know, fully done to their style, now I'm much more likely to think about this. I can then, of course, you know, if I'm an agent, I can take a booking on the spot and take payment. Or if I'm browsing this on the developer's own website, I can register interest, then it goes into our lead management system. So then the developer's sales staff or appointed agents will start getting leads one by one, round robin through the app, you know, to make sure that they really support that buyer and take them through to close. So this is something we've been sort of working and sort of thinking about for a while. But, you know, as this COVID situation came in, we said, man, we got to get this done. So, you know, we're working closely with Matterport, making sure that all of our customers are shooting the Matterports in their sales galleries, and literally launching this last week. We've just launched it, webinars to all of our customers, 750 participants, you know, and this type of thing, and tremendous media coverage. So we're pretty excited. So I think, you know, if you put this together with Matterport, with, you know, the digitization of all of the agents and developers to present these experiences to their potential buyers, I mean, real estate has come a very long way. I mean, there's lots of adjacencies and things, finance and fintech, that are all supporting real estate as well. But, you know, these are the types of investments we're making and partnerships to top, you know, stay ahead of the curve and be ready for the emergence outside of COVID-19.
Fantastic. So, you know, like, yeah, so, you know, back to my point about green shoots, people being forced to digitize, it's really exciting, especially looking at this model. It's almost like the God mode of Google Maps.
Yeah, very much so, very much so. And, you know, people want to know what the view is like from their balcony, right? So in a world where you can't shoot drones yet, we can digitize it. So this is the sort of balcony view from the 40th floor. You know, this is the balcony view from the 15th floor. And then when drone footage is available, we'll incorporate that in. So it really is trying to, I mean, and this is the expectation, right? If you think about even a small thing like booking an Airbnb, like it used to be a classified situation as well. Now you've got all of the surroundings, you've got cityscapes, you've got, you know, cultural events to draw you in. So it's more than just the unit that you're staying in, right? It's the whole package, which we're trying to bring forward and present in an effective way.
So we've got another 12 minutes before the end of our webinar. Our Q&A has been quite active, and I see Bruce has been answering some of the questions offline as well. They being quite technical. There's one question from Elizabeth. An architect can create from his plans a video from his 3D views with the camera tool. Why is this not better than using a 3D scan as is used in Matterport? Bruce.
Yes, I'm not sure I fully understand the question, but let me answer it in maybe a more generic way. And I think just building on even what what we're seeing here, what Jason is sharing, is it's not about, I think, a silver bullet, one solution that addresses everything. It really is about an ecosystem of technology, an ecosystem of where the agent plays a particular role, maybe a different role. So I think it's important that we're not seeking a one-size-fits-all solution. And so, yeah, for certain use cases in certain situations, one tool may be better than another. So I'm not actually sure if that's what is meant here, but I think that's a good overlay to what we're talking about. This isn't one-trick pony here.
I agree. It's about stitching those things together into a great experience, right? Like a lot of the stuff we're seeing on this example is from the architect's own sort of designs and plans and things. So it's just bringing that all to life. Yeah.
Right.
Martin, you asked, what are your questions to Jason and I were like, what's our technology wish that we'd have?
Yeah.
And actually, one of the strategies for Matterport is we don't want to be everything to all people. So we've recently launched our SDK and our API, because what we want to basically be is a platform. We're never going to develop at a pace that's going to keep pace with all the demands in the market. So why not open up the platform and allow others to develop and create create their own solutions on top? So in a way, that's I just want to see that accelerate, because then we have multiplying effects for everybody to benefit from.
Right. So the open sourcing, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's what, if you look at, there's thousands of technologies out there that have done this, because you can't develop and innovate fast enough for all use cases. So create, like you said, open source, or create an ecosystem that allows folks to innovate on top of this. And I'll just give you one quick example. We're talking to actually a couple companies in Japan that are integrating like an AI chatbot into the model, so that basic questions, if somebody wants to know where's the closest school to this property, what's the type of refrigerator, all this stuff can then just be done through an interactive chatbot. We're not developing it, we're just creating an interface to allow that kind of activity to happen.
Right.
Exactly. And I think our context here on that, being a technology company as well, but also a marketplace, is, we wouldn't go and invest, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars in a 3D rendering when we can incorporate seamlessly with a Matterport or a Foya, who's powering this one. So it really is about bringing that ecosystem together and going end to end for us. So we're an end to end, but we know where we play, and that's where we start and stop and integrate with the rest. So our customers seem to be, thanking us for that, because they can get the best of all worlds.
Right. So just entering the last few minutes of the webinar, I want to go into this what I call crystal balling, right? To Eugene, right? Do you think with technology there will be one day that a costly show flat will not even need to be built?
Wow, that is
But we overlay that with AR and VR and all the rendering and even maybe using past images of show flats to create a new one on Matterport.
Okay, this is my personal view. People who invest in home, I think this is back to the question. I think there's one gentleman who asked one question in the chat.
Virtual show flatting, yes.
Be more successful than new launch compare. Similarly, will a virtual show flat be more suitable for investor rather than those buying for own stay? As I mentioned earlier, real estate is a single biggest ticket item for everyone. I will personally feel that it's very hard for technology to replace a physical show flat 100%, especially when people are buying homes. If you are buying something for your own use, for your own stay, it's very important that the look and feel, the feeling of space, the feeling of dimension is being felt physically. While technology can enhance and to aid salesperson and to give a better understanding for consumer, but unless one day technology can go into 5G, 6G, whereby you just screen something onto a white room and everything start popping out and you can really feel the space. Till that day come, I think it's very hard to replace physical show flat, especially buyers who are bringing their family, multi-generation, bring their parents, their children. They want to really feel the space. So my question is, it is very, very tough. At least probably for my generation, you know, but for the future, I think it's everybody's guess.
Mm.
Yeah, but like they say, right? Never say never. So this means that you know we spend quite a bit of time discussing about the state of play in the industry. We talk about technology, what you guys are all seeing on the ground. You know, it points to me that technology can only be it's a good multiplier, a force multiplier. But at the end of the day, for something like real estate that really is you know, requires physical touch and feel and smell sometimes, you know, it's really about how the property developers, the real estate sales agents make use of this to up their game. So Richard, the good news is that you will not be disintermediated. Any thoughts about that?
Oh, let's do it in the near future. Clients will still need physical presence to be there to represent them for the best of their interest. Definitely, because this is one thing technology cannot take over. The emotions part, the physical bearing part, where we better represent our clients in that space. This is the part where technology cannot take over.
Agree. I think our position is the same. We absolutely believe that wholeheartedly. I think the only tweak would be that, which we've kind of covered, is that, you know, the consumer expectation will continue to evolve. So the sales gallery will of course still be there for the long foreseeable future, but the expectation of the experience in the sales gallery is going to be raised. You think about the experience of a taxi. When you used to have to call, wait, maybe it was engaged, you don't know where it is. Whereas now, you know, you press the button, you see where it is. Like that's profoundly changed. So all of those small things that consumers go through, all of us, change our perception and our expectation on everything. So they expect the agent to have all of the data to their hand and a nice visual and an infographic. They expect them to know about all of these things. So for the agent to have that, they need all of these tools and technologies to embrace to be able to do it and present it. So, you know, I think we will all continue to invest heavily in technology, but not for the sake of physical. So, you know, for example, one of the things we're you know, doing on the side, we try and keep a small budget aside for, you know, really innovative stuff. What if when you walk to the sales gallery, you can overlay these dots on top of the actual model using augmented reality? So we're doing a pilot now. Put on the goggles or, you know, hold up the phone and look through the camera and see the availability and then discover your unit that way. So that's bringing technology into that physical gallery, into that physical experience, which can really, really help. And they're going to expect it. And I think, you know, our customers and we in Matterport continue to invest in those experiences. At the end of the day, their experiences, be them physical or digital, right?
Yeah, right. So maybe one day we'll be able to pay for our property in Bitcoins.
Hey, we're already seeing it, right? I mean, that's already tokenization of real estate assets so that you can buy a small fraction of a building, right? I think that's right. Already with us. But yeah, maybe a physical property, yeah.
Yeah. Bruce, you were talking about property being fully transacted online that you have seen in the US already. Can you just share with us a little bit about that process and what you have seen?
Yeah, not just the US. I would say we're seeing this in probably every market. In fact, so the Financial Times about a month ago came out with an article talking about, you know, there's a multi-million dollar purchase of a penthouse in London that was done by somebody who'd never seen the property. But like to bring it back home, and I alluded to this earlier, but I got a WhatsApp message 2 days ago, maybe it was even yesterday, from a customer using Matterport, and his wife transacted, I think it was a $1.8 million transaction in Singapore, and the owner had never seen the property. So so I think that question of, are we going to see this happen? The thing is, yes, it's happening already. It's not going to be, you know, is it 100% migrating to, you know, a touchless world? No, but again, back to that kind of bell curve of adoption, more and more of this is going to happen. And especially, you know, Jason talked about the international buyers. I mean, if somebody wants to be investing in property in Singapore and they're living overseas, you know, they don't have a choice. They're going to have to engage in a digital world. Obviously, again, I go back to the fact that it's not just the technology. We're enabling a dialogue, and then it comes to the trust of, you know, Richard and Eugene and you know, the agents to be able to engage with those potential buyers and and act as a trusted advisor. So it's not that one single solution that does it. It's just changing the way, I think, in which we engage. And that categorically is going to continue to drive, evolution and change in this industry.
Right. We've come to the final minute of our webinar. A couple of interesting Q&As were done. So maybe just take the last question from Vincent Lee. In the future, how far are large developers, Capital Mall, Lendlease, Sung Hong Kai, from digitizing the entire real estate development value chain from land acquisition right through to sale? Tech has improved the consumer-facing bit, but the back end is still fairly traditional. Any thoughts? I open it to all the panelists.
So I would happily go first on this one, because one of the ways in which Matterport looks at the use of a digital twin is that it isn't just for the promotion. I mean, that's the one that's probably the sexiest, and that's the one that gets the most kind of coverage. But we look at it in terms of the entire life cycle of a building: design, build, the architects and engineers needing this, insurance companies using this as a way to underwrite, their digital assets or their physical assets. Sorry, the insurance and restoration business using this. So remote facilities management, property management, the list goes on. There are tremendous amounts of use cases, and yeah, so the technologies we're talking about, Matterport being one of them, what Jason illustrated with FastKey, we're showing you the kind of sexy bit, which is the promotional side, but this technology has applications across a wide range of, the entire building life cycle.
I think from the question, what I can see is that it's talking value chain from land acquisition all the way through to maybe someone moving in and getting the keys. What I've witnessed is there are companies that focus on all parts of this value chain. Be it data-driven insights for the first bit about land acquisition, be it, ERP systems to help with the financial collection of payment, be it, condo management systems, defect management systems. And, I think all of us play a role somewhere in that. Of course, Eugene and Richard have to live it across, a much wider gamut. So our approach has been, it's not feasible to be able to address all of that with one technology right now. That's a behemoth, right? And you would end up most likely failing because you're trying to do everything. So where someone like Property Guru plays, we know where we're good. We know that's important, and we look to integrate. So, when a booking's done on FastKey, it shoots off into the ERP system of choice, of the developer, right? We don't want to be an ERP, nor should we. We don't have the expertise. So I think developers themselves, of course, are looking at technology, and agents, of course, at all areas of the life cycle of a project. From investment right through. I don't think there's one technology that's going to solve it. There's no Microsoft that's going to do it all. So I think those that are smart choose partners that are not closed, that are open to integrate with other partners, frenemies even, and build what's next. I think that's a good strategy.
And if you look at the prop tech industry, I mean, there's just so much innovation happening in this area.
Yeah, it's indeed very, very exciting. So we've come to the end of our webinar. I would like to thank all attendees for spending your last 1 hour with us. We've discussed about the current state of play during lockdown, COVID. We talked about how actually property can be transacted without even looking at it or looking at it digitally. We've heard from how Oxley Holdings are using Matterport as well as Property Guru to add that tech element to property sales. We've heard from Richard, who's using technology to up his game. Would like to thank you all panelists for spending your time. I had a great time. I've learned a lot from all of you individually, and it's really nice to know that actually we're all intertwined. Matterport, Property Guru, and then providing a great product for the likes of Eugene, for the likes of Richard. So we've got a lot of friends who have attended who are from the property developer world as well as real estate sales. If you are keen to find out more about Matterport or Property Guru, please feel free to reach out. We'll certainly help to facilitate an information session.
Anytime.
If there's nothing else, thank you, Bruce, Eugene, Richard, and Jason.
Pleasure.
Everyone stay
Pleasure.
Thank you,
safe
Martin. Thank you for
and
everyone.
have a nice afternoon ahead.
Will do. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much,
Okay, see you
everyone.
guys.
Thank
Bye.
you.
All right. Okay, bye-bye.